Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to Stranger Stories podcast. And today is our sixth episode. And we are talking about not just marketing today. It's actually more than that. And as usual, I have with me my co-host, Heikel Latif. Hi, Heikel. What's up?
Hi everyone, I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing actually all right, even though the weather is not that great in Germany. Winter is hitting, but I'm already feeling the holiday vibes,
Yes.
and we are approaching the how do you say Black Week or Cyber Monday. So a
Yes,
lot of marketing stuff going on,
that's true. That's
where
true.
where businesses are trying to hit on the impulses. So
That's true.
yeah, I
That's
think
true.
I think it's a great time to have this podcast and
That's
this
true.
episode particularly.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think CRM is in overdrive. I think my emails are flooded with what's the latest promotions and Black Week offers. Early Black Week offers. This is my favorite part. Early Black Week offers. It's not just Black Week. It's early
Yes.
Black Week. So I'm waiting for the day when they have early Black Week because you gotta get ahead of the competition, right? So but anyway.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I think we can talk about our topic today. So
Yes.
our episode is entitled "Hello, is there anyone out there?" And today we're gonna talk a little bit about marketing from a startup perspective. We wanna try to explore a little bit and unravel a little bit what it takes to have what do you have to keep in mind basically when you are a startup, which means you're a brand new organization, brand new product, brand new brand, and how do you go about coming up with a marketing strategy that could work for you.
Right. Right. So so basically this episode we are talking about whenever you are coming up with an product or services. What do you have to keep in mind, as in just not in marketing, but as a business as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember we talked a little bit about meaning at our first episode, and which I think to begin with any business, we always have to think about like what sort of uh, purpose, what sort of meaning we are actually trying to convey,
Yeah.
right? What do you think about in a very small scale when I just have a idea and I want to execute?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are the, let's say, thinking points?
That's
Uh,
true. I think, yeah, I think that it's first of all, it's not easy. I think to have an idea and to realize it in some way and to make it into something more than just a piece of paper. I think. Second of all, I think that the idea is important, right? The idea is the most important. The product or the service is most important. But rather than just coming up with I mean, the product or the service needs to be driven by a need. I think it needs to answer a question. It needs to solve a problem. I think we covered a little bit about this before. But I think when you're talking about coming up with a new organization or a new offering, it is even more vital, right? Because you need to make a difference in the space that you intend to break into, or you need to make a difference in even if you try to create a new market, right? It's gotta be inspired by something. You gotta stand on somebody's shoulders, basically, right? That's what I'm saying. So it's kind of important, I think, to have first of all a product and a service, and second of all, how to execute that, right? Because your product or your service is kind of redundant if one, nobody knows about it, or two, nobody sees the point of it. And I think I like to see, sometimes when you read product descriptions, right, or you see a product video or an ad, I like to ask myself, what exactly is this person trying to solve? What exactly is this solution all about? And I think if you are unable to sort of compress it down into the main sweet spots, right, in a very short text or very short clip, it's going to be difficult, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. And to begin with, I think that you can only come up with a possible solution, or the opportunity that you sense and you want to serve this opportunity. If you actually begin with, you actually ask the why. uh, when you are coming up with your idea, or coming up with your commodities and services. Because I actually met founders where they just came up with an idea, but they never really thought about the who will be the customer and what will be the application,
Absolutely.
right? And I think it's very, very easy when you sort of like in a bubble, and you think, oh, this is a great product because I came up with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens to best of us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just not just in business, in every facet of our life.
Yeah.
If we actually kind of like put ourselves into a bubble, and where all the feedback is positive
Yeah.
inside the bubble,
Yeah.
and you have no idea outside, you actually think, oh, I'm pretty invincible and I always come up with great ideas and I'm actually correct.
Yes.
And then you actually run into a wall and you just trying to figure out what went wrong.
Yes.
But it was all wrong from the get-go.
Yes. Yes. I think you're hitting on several awesome points there. I think the part of starting up a new venture is the entrepreneurial spirit, right? Or the entrepreneurial drive or whatever. But sometimes this gets confused with, like you said, this feeling of invincibility. You know, I can come up with anything and it will be a success, right? When in actual fact you have to answer. That's the other big point I think you mentioned. You have to answer the question of why. Why do we do this? Why would anybody care? Why would they be interested, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going Simon Sinek on on why.
Oh dear.
But yeah. But yeah, it's actually true, because have you ever wondered, like, there are a lot of business whereby they actually came to the market before the time.
Yeah.
So the timing just wasn't correct.
Yeah.
They have like absolutely bomb products and services, but the timing was wrong. Right? It happened mostly even in tech industry, in commodities and stuff. So even if you actually have that sort of vision, that like next 5 years there won't gonna be any demand for this product, but essentially it will come. And then you actually have to think about the strategy, how to sustain yourself to stay in the market that long and create this awareness. So again, it's not just about, oh, I will come up with a product and it will dominate the market.
Yeah.
It's not really, and of course it happens to many businesses.
Yeah.
That they come up and it just dominated the market.
Yeah.
But if you even take a look at hype today, so last few months it was AI hype with ChatGPT, generative AI, those kind of stuff.
Yes.
And if you really think about their journey,
Yes.
it actually didn't start like this year. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
There is GPT-1, GPT-2, 3, 3.5. Now we are here.
Yeah.
Right? And now people are going crazy because they just see the results.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But the ideation and everything actually happened way long.
Yeah.
Way before.
Yeah.
That the product actually hit the market.
Yeah.
So having the the vision and how do you actually see, like, you sort of like kind of like portray imaginary situations, like the likely situation, what is the product journey basically,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The idea itself is not just enough as a business.
Correct.
If you are just a person with a great idea, okay, but it doesn't mean that will make you money.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that people will accept it. So you have to lay down. That's why I think a lot of people talk about business plan.
Yeah.
So whenever you go up to an investor, you have to show them the business plan.
I like all the buzzwords you're throwing in there. It's awesome. I think we're going to reach out to a lot of people just by SEO with all those buzzwords. Yeah. It's business plan and the 3-year model, 5-year model, and the what do you call that? The expansion stage and the IPO stage, which everybody is looking out for, right? But you're absolutely right. I think that coming up with a product, coming up with a service is essential. I think that's how we keep evolving, right? And some brands have evolved in offering their service to combine with new technologies to stay afloat. I mean, let's just talk about Netflix, right? I mean, it started off as a video rental service, isn't it? And now look at what it is, right? So they kind of reinvented themselves by absorbing new technology, by coming up with a tweak in how they offer their service. But essentially, they're still doing the same thing, isn't it? Their core business model still exists. It's how they have made it relevant, and that's the important point. And for us, especially because we are into meaningful marketing, obviously. So and that's the point, to make it relevant, right? And they have made Netflix relevant to us all, right? They have disrupted, and this is another buzzword, right? Disruptors, right?
Disrupted.
Oh my God! Yes. I think we should keep
exponential growth.
I think we should keep a buzzword count for this episode, and then count and celebrate at the end. But yeah, they sort of disrupted this whole TV consumption landscape, right? By making video on demand, which already existed before, but a lot more accessible, a lot easier to view, a lot easier to subscribe to. They've just made the whole process a lot easier. But ultimately, what I think they did very well in this case is they made things relevant. They made us depend on it, and of course to the extent that they've made their brand name into an adjective, right? Netflix and chill. Yeah. But more importantly, they've made their service more than just a nice to have, but a must have, right? It's now part of your content consumption. It is either a platform in which you consume content or you consume their content. But either way, it's not really a nice to have. All right, it's good if you have a Netflix subscription. Nowadays, conversations are surrounding shows that were on Netflix or whatever. So if you don't subscribe, you're gonna be the odd one out and left out, right? Of course, the caveat here is, the disclaimer here is, yes, they have many problems with their business model. Yes, they are not able to grow as much. Yes, we know all that, but we want to focus on the meaning part. We want to focus on how they have made Netflix very relevant, and that is an output. This relevance is an output of meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah? And another thing is just because you are talking about Netflix and you are talking to me, right? There, and we're talking about also relevance, right? So there, I want to actually point out that if you want to be relevant, you have to find the right person, right? And here, even though you're talking about Netflix, I have no idea. I have never had Netflix subscription and stuff, and I never really thought it's anyone needed, right? Because I'm totally zoned out with that sort of audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can understand that the relevance it has, like the hype and trend you're talking about, Netflix and chill, those kind of. It's like I have heard it. I'm aware of it. The awareness is there. It just I'm not the right person.
Right.
So I think here, when you want to be relevant, you have to figure out the right persona for your product and services and whatever you're offering.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a very interesting thought exercise here that we're stumbling into, because on the one hand you're right, it is very important to make your product to find your right audience, to define your buyer persona, right, or your subscriber persona, or the identity of who it is that you imagine is going to be subscribing to this product and or subscribing to the service. And it shouldn't just stop with one, right? It should be 2 or 3 buyer personas that you expect are going to be the forming 80% of your customer base or 80% of your user base, right? And this the meatier this buyer persona is, the easier it should be to target them. The easier it should be to create messages that resonate with this group, right? And by meteor, I mean going beyond 18 to 40 years old, single, living in Germany, male versus female, etc., etc. That's all nice demographic information. But if we want to go a step further than that, we have to know their behavioral information, right? What kind of behaviors do they subscribe to? Like, for example, myself, right? There are 2 of us, basically, right? It's a good A/B test here. I'm a Netflix subscriber. You're not, right? Why was I convinced that it is a good idea to spend, I don't know, €7 or $7 of my money every month for this service, whereas you're not compelled by it, right? So that's on one hand. Perhaps there is a success story on my side, but not so much of a success story on your side, because you don't see that as relevant. But on the other hand, and this is the other thought exercise here, how do we make your product, if you're talking about a mass consumption product, again, we're not referring to very, very niche solutions. For example, you offer some kind of medical device, or you offer some kind of engineering solution, which is not for mass consumption. So we put that aside. If we're talking about mass product consumption, consumer products, right? How do you then bend your product into a buyer profile that you are not accessing? Like yourself, for example, right? How do I then make you aware that there is content? If I'm Netflix, of course, right? So maybe we can get Netflix to sponsor this episode. I don't know. But if you are Netflix, right? How do I get you, Naeem, to be on board on my platform? Because I'm a mass market solution. I'm not a niche solution, you know? So the fact that you have slipped through the cracks, that means there are more people of your persona that is not matching my message is somehow not translating.
Yeah, exactly. I think here, what you talked about, not just surface level buying persona, but knowing the behavior of the people. For instance, maybe Netflix. I'm not watching Netflix because the things that they are actually putting for this, I don't really have interest. I have interest in other areas of entertainment or I don't know, whatever kind of like videos and content out there. I'm interested in that, and I don't have that on Netflix, right? So that can be one thing. So you sort of like attract a group. If you know where is their interest, what is meaningful for them, right?
Absolutely.
And then you. Yeah, and then you do this behavioral targeting, right? All these analytics and stuff. You could easily figure out, like, in this region, what's the trend going on, or what people are searching, what's the age group, and you can also figure out, like, if someone is single or anything, because I don't know, the people who are single, they're most likely spend longer screen time than the one who's married or like have kids, those kind of stuff. So yeah, I think those kind of demographical information matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the demographic information is a good primer, a good starter. So of course, when you create a product, when you create a service, you know, is this a gendered product, right? And that could be defined even by your product design, right? If it's pink in color, for example, for whatever reason you've decided it to be pink, yeah, by and large, we're talking about a female audience, right? Because unfortunately, society has been created in a way that pink is related to one gender over the other, right? I'm not saying that that's a rule, but it's the common logic, basically, right? And of course, when you come up with a product, you're not reinventing common logic. You're riding on it, right, to make your product relevant. But of course, these are just indicators, and this is why I think this what you raise is a good point. This feedback loop, right? So especially for products and services like Netflix, for example, that deals in content, right? And even if you're dealing with a physical product, a tangible product, right? This feedback loop is very important. Of course, it takes longer for you to sort of imprint this feedback, for example, from yourself into the future range of products, because it takes time to develop, isn't it? A year and a half, whatever. But if I am in the world of content, where I can come up with things a lot faster because I don't have a tangible product, right? This is when you get this perfect feedback loop, I would say, because now I know the success stories of people who are on my subscription, and when I say that, we have kind of maxed out on all these buyer profiles, then we have to look at what profiles are we not accessing. And if it goes down to a problem of content, right, then it is something that we have to invent, right? Perhaps a show that you might be, a person of your profile might be interested in, whatever it is. Maybe you like gardening or something, maybe a gardening show, I don't know, right? But on the other hand, there is also the problem of awareness, right? Communication, basically meaningful awareness. And I think this is very good, because you know what Netflix is. You understand Netflix and chill, right? You get the concept. And all this is clear to you, but you're not converting. And this is maybe it goes back to the idea that you are not aware in a meaningful way of what the product might be offering you. Perhaps you understand at a high level what it's about, and it doesn't strike me. But yes, you hit the awareness KPI. Is he aware? Yes, he's aware. But is it meaningful? No. Because does he go into the evaluation stage? Not so much. Does he go into the demo stage? Not so much. So I think this is a two-pronged problem for startups, right? On the one hand, you have to get your word out there. You have to be strategic in how you make people aware, right? Because budgets are limited. Regardless of how well you have talked to your investors, you're going to have limited budgets, right? And therefore, these buyer profiles, demographic information, are your first dipping your toes into the awareness market. But that's just half the battle won. The other half is to make that awareness meaningful. And you can see that in multiple ways. So for example, going down the customer journey to evaluation, to demonstration, to conversion, and so on. But also for your product, for the features of your product to be known. And I think in this case, maybe it's a little bit easier for us to look at B2B solutions, right? And how they try to go from awareness to meaningful awareness, don't you think?
Yeah, it is for B2B. I think it's more tailored than B2C, consumer goods and stuff. But for any startup, I think whenever you are starting something, one thing I think we overlook is engaging with your potential customer profile, because it's like more likely than not that they will say no. But the point here is, are you asking the relevant question that will give you the insight that why this person is not converting?
Yes.
It's not a matter of, okay, we are losing a customer. It's more about like the kind of feedback that you are getting, so that you understand even more who will be your customer, right? And from this mass marketing, mass awareness, you can actually leave these people out when you actually see like the amount of reluctancy from certain profile, right? Then it becomes even more specific that like who should you target then? If this is the person, okay, it's not him. He's not interested in Netflix in any way, shape, or form. So let me actually study his profile. How old is he? What does he do? What he's interested in? Where does he live? And you have this information as a people who will never gonna buy your product. So then you actually run this correlation and get in front of people who are not Naheem either.
That's very important, and I think that goes back to making meaning out of the data, right? Because three different points I can think of here. One is making meaning out of the data, right? So like you said, you have a particular set of profiles that is not being caught by your awareness strategies, right? So how do I make meaning out of it? How do I make a decision from that? Do I keep hitting them over and over and annoying them with the same sort of mass market narrative? Do I put them into a separate bucket and then have a tailored strategy for them, whatever that may be? Or do I just forget about it and go, yeah, this is not our demographic, this is not our, for whatever reason, in the current shape and form, this is not who we will target, so we'll move on. Which brings to another point there, two other points, right? One is, if you want to make meaning out of the data, you need to understand the market, right? Market research is not just a buzzword, right? Not just a nice to have, and not just one slide that you prepare in your investor pitch.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be more in depth than that. So of course, investing in market research goes a long way, I think. And
absolutely. And I can actually give you a very good example on here.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a student,
mm-hmm.
I was in my first semester, and as I was looking for a part-time job, student job, and I stumbled across this company. It's a streaming company. And they actually targeted expats living in Germany or living in Europe in general. And it's a subscription type of like business, subscription economy, and they are targeting Indians, Koreans. Basically, this because they have the kind of content they have is what the Indian channels provides and what the Korean channels provides. And it's a monthly subscription of, I think, around 20 euros and stuff, and you can get to see the favorite channel from your country. Right. And they're like hiring all these international people, so they have the idea of the community, and they're looking for customers, and trying to engage like giveaways, these strategy, that strategy. And I joined, and I was like, okay, what is this business? And I kind of like sort of understood, and I'm an expat myself. And I didn't really found it appealing. I was like, why are you doing it? Like, I'm an expert, and if I want to watch my channel, I can just order this box from UK, and they will set it all up, and it will cost me like 500 euros, and I can watch whatever I want. Or if you want to watch this Indian stuff, I don't know, you can just have like Yelp or other online streaming platform, which is like even more established, and they have way low subscription price and stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy got so offended he fired me.
Oh dear.
So I got fired 6 days into my job.
Okay.
And in after 1 year.
Yeah.
After 1 year, this company doesn't exist anymore.
There you go.
And it took them 1 year. What I have, kind of like understood in 6 days.
Yeah.
And the thing, because they actually haven't studied their market.
Yeah.
What are the alternatives? Who are the competitors?
Yes.
What is our USP?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Why would a South Asian guy who is will buy our subscription?
Yes.
And if you have any knowledge about South Asian people,
yes,
we understand money better than anyone else.
Yes.
We'll research 10 times before putting like 2 euros into something, let alone 20. So you gotta have a robust value and meaning.
Yes.
So that you can appeal to us. Otherwise, we are not interested.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So there is this USP component, which are absolutely right. In a lot of startups, I think, I don't know whether it's the hype or the excitement or it's the energy or whatever that you are riding on an idea. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to communicate it in a meaningful way to a potential customer or buyer persona, the USP needs to be like that, right? Especially for those first choice buyers, like for yourself, right? In this example, right? If you're targeting an expat with content that comes from your home country, right? I, as a buyer, should be able to get it like that. Should be able to see the benefits without even thinking about it a few times. But if you can already start to question, but why would I do this if I can do that? Right, then your USP might not be strong enough, and then it is important to go back there. But I like the point that you're bringing across here, that understanding your audience is more than just the demographic, which they are obviously getting you, because somehow they're figuring out that from an SEO perspective, or that your cookies correspond to liking this kind of content, but you miss out on the cultural sort of logic of that buyer persona, right? That they might be motivated in different ways to go down that funnel, and it might not be so straightforward. It might not just be a rational case of, oh, this is cheaper than that, or it's a case. It could be a more of a social function, right? Like I said, right? My group of friends all talk about Netflix shows, and I have no idea what's going on. I think there was I think if I remember the story of how I signed up for Facebook, it was very similar to this. I think it was in 2010, kind of dates me a little bit. 2010, I think, and I refused to sign up for Facebook at the time because I didn't see the value of it. I didn't see why I needed to be on this social media platform. I don't see why I should be sharing my life with a bunch of people that I may know but not know that well. I thought it was irrelevant until I went to I did a 6-month internship in Lagos in Nigeria, and then I realized that everyone there had a Facebook, and because my social circle was so small, right? Because I'm a visitor, I'm just there temporarily. I had to sign up and follow some pages or add some people in order to be part of conversations. Otherwise, I would be like a total outcast, kind of thing. And that could be a motivation in order to get people to subscribe. This more of social element, and perhaps this key, maybe that is the one, maybe that is sort of an unintended consequence of the success of all these platforms where they share passwords, right? This community element.
It's sort of like,
so in a way, it hits your commercial sort of case,
right? I mean, yeah, it's a good
exactly.
Good tactics, if you can implement it quite well, like, I don't know, Supreme, where they actually sell exclusivity. It's nothing, I don't know, like, I don't know, brand value and whatever, but it just, scarcity and exclusivity.
Exactly.
And I think with also when you are in a social gathering and your surrounding is talking about, it's like some sort of like word of mouth kind of like marketing, where if you are part of something, part of a community, and they're talking about something, you want to be part of that cool things. And that's how I actually signed up for Facebook. But I don't really have any Facebook. Do you have Facebook? No? Yeah, follow Heikel. Follow Heikel Latif on.
I never shut it down.
On Facebook.
It's very boring though. To be honest, I don't really do anything on it.
Oh my god, you're a stalker.
Using it to stalk people. I'm a very, very poor social media user. I'm a very passive social media user. I'm not very good at this. But having said that, I think that these strategies, especially if you're a startup, you have this. It's not just exclusivity. I think it's this first mover advantage, right? This making your first the people who first buy the USP that you're selling. And I'm not saying product or service here. I'm saying buy the USP that you're selling. These people then should be somehow unfortunately, your ambassadors and your advocates, right? And then, like you said, this word of mouth or earned media is something that, is something that I think is very, very important for a new idea, because you can only sell so much of it, right?
Yeah,
But you need
exactly.
people
It's
to
actually depends on
amplify
how
your
much
message,
influence you
and
can
to do
create,
that.
right? Because if you're
Yes,
coming up
correct.
with something, but
Right.
it doesn't really have
Absolutely.
any cultural value or cultural meaning or any sort of meaning, it's just a product that anyone would buy or don't buy, you know.
Yes.
Uh, and I
Exactly.
think that this is
Exactly.
where the
Exactly.
marketing kicks in, you know, like how do you
Yes.
create
Yes.
that value, that meaning to the people, you know, because it's very
Yes.
likely what you
Yes.
came up with, someone already invented it. It's very likely,
Yes.
and that's the majority of the
Absolutely.
situation when you are
Absolutely.
talking about business. But it is also true
Yeah.
that most of the startup
Yeah.
actually they actually goes there are more startups which are unsuccessful than successful, right? Uh,
Yes.
so
Absolutely.
what's the
Absolutely.
trick here? How they are actually sustaining and the others don't? And I think this is where this meaningful, purposeful marketing and understanding the psychology of your customer, the psychology of your
Yes.
demography.
Yes.
It not just surface level
Yes.
information with Google Analytics. It's going out there and actually engaging and
Yes.
talking. And I'm a digital marketing specialist. It doesn't really mean like you have to do it online. It doesn't, you know. Rather, I would rather actually
Yes.
prefer
Yes.
if just go in front of like people and talk to them, because I think that level of feedback you can get, it's more genuine
Yes.
when you are
Yes.
in person,
Indeed.
and you are voluntarily going out there and talking to people about a product or getting their feedback on why they are not interested in it. And bro, one thing I
Yes.
can tell is
Absolutely.
um, if you actually ask someone or ask for a favor, even if it's a stranger, you know, they will actually answer and will give you genuine response, unless you
Yes.
met someone in the I don't know, New York Square, where everyone is busy and nobody wants to talk, you know. But it's very surprising, and I actually like stumble across this
Yeah.
psychological phenomenon. It's called Benjamin Franklin effect, whereby it means if you ask
Mm-hmm.
for a favor or ask something to someone, it's most likely that person will like you. You know. So
Mm-hmm.
so if you want to make new
Yeah.
friends, you know what to do. You just ask for a favor. It's a subtle thing that to initiate
Yeah.
any sort of conversation. And another thing is
Yeah.
particularly for startup. I know sometimes it's tough to, whenever you have an idea and you want to execute it, to talk to this idea and the business you want to do with your friends and with your families. Uh, but most of the genuine
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
feedback I got in my life, you know, even
Mm-hmm.
though when I got it, I thought it's
Mm-hmm.
stupid. They just don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually from
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
friends and family, you know, not from the people who's like really outside.
Mm-hmm.
The outsiders will all I actually
Mm-hmm.
saw like they actually motivate you. Oh, it's a very cool idea. Yeah, go for it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't really have to face any sort of consequences, you know, whatever action I take. But
Mm-hmm.
the people who really care for
Mm-hmm.
you,
Mm-hmm.
ask
Mm-hmm.
them about their feedback first. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this is the podcast we're
Mm-hmm.
actually doing,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
the feedback that we're asking is actually first our friends and families, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
people think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this person is
Mm-hmm.
expert on these
Mm-hmm.
things, and I should go out there and ask them
Mm-hmm.
about which is good, of course. which is good. But I think having this support system whenever you are thinking about a business, support system doesn't support system means it can be someone with expertise who can help you out, and you have the community of it, and you understand they will give you genuine feedback. But also with your family, friends and family. I think this part I particularly see in Europe. It's missing. It's missing. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's always the first good port of call, because they will give you maybe an honest answer or honest response, and will probably ask you the right questions, right? Which is related to this. I mean, asking them the right questions is also it's a very important exercise. Asking the people that you want feedback from the right questions will give you the right answers. I mean, and that's something I think is also missing, right? When you're asking people about what do you think about this product or this service or this idea and so on, right? It's very easy for people to give generic responses. I think to get to more details, you would need to ask a bit more pointed questions, a bit more, a bit more details, like, oh, is it too big? Is it too is the product too bulky, or is the color too ugly, or this kind of next level of specifics, right? But I think there is a way to amplify this in the same spirit of trying to get these honest responses from people who care, people who matter, people who have meaning towards you, is also to identify perhaps the meaning behind your USP. What do you contribute to in the wider landscape? Then that's how you kind of amplify to find people who will care about this product. Say, for example, it's a product that helps you to save water consumption, right? It's a product that if you put it on your tap, you will halve the amount of water you need to you consume on a day. And this helps to support the environment, right? Because we reduce the amount of water, we're actually helping to create a more sustainable, renewable future and so on. And that is a cause, right? That cause is what your product is trying to support. So you will definitely find people who are also interested in this cause. Of course, the level of interest might differ. There are some people who are more, that would be nice. Some people will be like, no, I'm going to go protest, for Fridays for Future and so on and so forth, kind of thing. And this is where you get to amplify this idea of feedback, amplify this idea of a common understanding, and also to refine your USP strategy, your communication strategy. Am I saying the right things to this person in this short period of time that they get it? Or they don't get it, or they don't, what I'm saying is not resonating. What I'm saying is not, this should be my number one customer. This guy is all for the environment. I met him at a protest. Clearly he will want to buy this product. Why isn't he convinced, right? So I think, and that's another part of it. Asking the right questions is important. Amplifying where you find your significant audience is important. And number 3 is being able to take the feedback. Being able to be honest with yourself and go, don't fire your employees. It's not that the people don't get it, it's just that the idea is not so good. So whoever that was, I mean, come on, you gotta relook your employment strategy here. But exactly, right? You have to be honest, because sometimes your staff, sometimes the people you work with, they're asking you the right questions, and just because you cannot answer those questions does not mean that there is incompetence in your organization. It just means that your strategy is either not full enough, not well developed, or fully developed, right? And this is where I think startups or startup founders or whatever, they have a lot of blind spots, and they're not, and maybe to protect the idea, you're not willing to concede,
and it's just, it hurts when when someone is abusing your baby.
That's, to be honest, I can relate. I mean, when I was doing my PhD thesis, whenever somebody gave me a bad review, I'll be very hurt. I'll be like, no, I worked really hard on this. I spent hours writing on it, and people don't like it. Why? I don't get it. Kind of thing. I get it. But
I think in business particularly, and
exactly,
this is one of the bottleneck. Whenever you meet these startup founders or CEOs, I wanted to ask you, what is there any other bottleneck or problem that you sort of see or observe other than I don't know, defining USP and stuff?
Yes. I think one thing that I've noticed is that marketing and sales always comes in at the end. The product is already developed, the service, the dashboard or whatever is already developed, then you bring in marketing and sales. Then it is a challenge for marketing and sales to try and piece together this puzzle, basically, right? So you have, in any organization, you have your business goals, right? You want to hit particular milestone targets, how many sales in a year or 6 months or whatever, to again prove to your investors or prove that you are a sustainable organization and so on. But from an organizational perspective, sales and marketing as an expertise or as an idea is normally absent in the very early stages and only comes in towards the end of maybe the development process. So therefore, the product is not well tested in the market, but because, as we know, in product development, there's a lot of like you said, the chat GPT, now we're at version 3. I'm sure that version 1 and version 2 and so on has a lot of things that failed, right? And therefore, the major public only sees it in version 3. But sometimes organizations or these startups, they are forced to push out their products ahead of schedule because they took so long to come up with the prototype in the first place, or when they came up with a scalable solution, it took them some time to figure it out. But by delaying the marketing and sales sort of involvement to that point, you are basically putting a lot of strain on a very strained timeline to begin with. So basically, you're expecting your marketing and sales to do a lot more in a shorter period of time with very little market exposure, with very little market experimentation. And this is, I think, then you turn around and say, it's the communication problem. But perhaps the problem was already inbuilt in the product as it was being constructed. For example, it's not aiming to the right persona, for example. Or the buyer persona you're looking at is so specific. Like, for example, like you said, the company that is targeting expats living in Germany is very specific. So you're really putting all your eggs in one basket here. And then when those eggs don't come to roost, you're like, and you could have sort of changed direction or changed course or refined your product if marketing and sales had been involved from the beginning, because they'll be able to tell you, all right, I think this market that you're going for is only worth, we are expecting only 5 subscribers a month. That's not going to do it. That's not going to make our business goals come true. And before we pour any more money into this, we should relook how we are conceptualizing. And I think that's a major sort of, I wouldn't say red flag, but that's a major observation, I think, that marketing and sales always comes in at the end. I don't know why. Maybe it's not as crucial to the process. Of course, engineers and data developers and software developers are important, but I think we need to bring marketing and sales earlier into the picture in order to not be faced with surprises once you expect the sales to come in and nothing comes.
I kind of like agree with you there, that the sales and marketing, and even if they're actually in their involvement sometimes doesn't necessarily bring the result because of the information gap and the knowledge gap. Another thing I have noticed is the absence of knowledge in founders and CEOs.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but I personally think it's easier for a marketer to open a business than a non-marketer who comes up with an idea and then market the product. Right? Because, a lot of the engineers, a lot of the people with IT background, or even other than that, the one who is selling consumer goods and stuff, they sort of have the idea like, if the product is great, it will sell itself.
Yes, absolutely.
And
yeah,
go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, and absolutely. And I think like you said, the if the product is good, you'll sell itself, because I think that is a reflection of how some people sometimes, or business leaders or entrepreneurs or whatever, they undermine the difficulty of marketing in the first place, right? They don't they don't really. It's like
Yeah.
marketing strategy is so simple, anybody can do it. Kind of thing. That's the
Or
sort of
yeah,
the
I wouldn't
implicit
actually go to
sort of
marketing anyway. I wouldn't even say
belief.
that.
Yeah?
I would say
Yeah.
it's actually their ignorance of why people buy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, even better. Ignorance of why people would buy, ignorance of why people would convert, or why people would be on board with your strategy, right? You're absolutely right. And you take that for granted, that you'll see the product, you'll love it, you'll ask for more, kind of thing. When actually you're dealing with the psychology of it, right? The human relationship of it, and you need to convince people. It is how hard you have to convince them, but there is a level of convincing that needs to be done. There is a level of relevance that you need to project. There is a level of value that you need to show or communicate, right? And even then people might not convert, but the point is, your solution becomes something relevant. Oh, they get it, right? And that's always a very important stage, that people get it, and that's
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
skipped very
Absolutely.
quickly, I think.
But
Don't you think?
at the end, I actually want to put it out there is you were a founder and you came up with a business idea. You want to sell this commodity or service or whatever you have. I think it's always important to go back and rethink about how genuine is your product and services. How if it's meaningful at all, and if it's actually brings some sort of value to the people. I want to I don't want to call it a scam, but let me throw it to you. So I worked for a company, and again, they don't exist anymore, by the way. It's
There seems to be a pattern here.
I'm telling you, it's not my fault that the companies I worked, they got bankrupt, or like, I don't know, they extinct. So this business had the subscription model again, but for luxury bags. So they would rent out the luxury bags for weeks and months. So the luxury, the bag like Hermes, and I don't know, I'm not really into it, but Balenciaga, which is like, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000, like one bag, because it's from crocodile skin and stuff. I remember like one of the person who's like working there, a sales person, and I asked her, uh, so what's the price of this Hermes bag? And she said it's $11,000, 11,000 euros. And then I said, why is that? And she said, oh, it's a crocodile skin. I was like, you can buy a crocodile with like a lot less than that. But their whole business model was, okay, it's very exclusive. We want to open this platform where people have to log in, and then they have this exclusive gold membership where they can get these 3 bags for, I don't know, 4 months or 3 months, and they have to pay this certain amount of money. And I was like, okay, great. So
Yeah.
who are your target customer? You know, and they were saying, oh, it's the influencers.
Yeah.
Because they have to do this like photography, they are like influencing people, and they always have to like show like they have this and that into their possession. So they get like branded because they have a certain personality. And then I was like, if the influencer has to like
Yeah.
rent, isn't it like that's then kind of like defeats the purpose? Like, she doesn't really own it, like it's not hers. And people are saying, oh, this person like having this wonderful bags because they somehow earn money and do this and that. How genuine is that? And they would like try these all sort of tactics to say, oh, like it's first week it's free, and then if it's actually goes on, and then you want to keep the bag, then we'll sell it like secondhand stuff, so on, with a lot less money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they would go throw
Mm-hmm.
out all these luxury sort of like photo shoot events, ramp walks, so that that the people will come and buy this stuff or buy this subscription, particularly the influencers. Um, and I a lot of time I
Yeah.
kind of like felt like they're like kind of like tricking these influencers to get into this subscription stuff, and even eventually,
Yeah.
it didn't pay off, and they don't exist anymore. But if you really think about the whole
Yeah.
business idea from the get go, about
Mm-hmm.
renting these luxury bags to not to, I don't know, fashion house,
Mm-hmm.
or the fashion house who would like through like events which is temporary, they can use this stuff, but to
Mm-hmm.
influencers,
Mm-hmm.
whereby the if you think about like luxury
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
influencers, people who are actually making it up there, they actually have the money to buy the bag anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then
Mm-hmm.
actually
Mm-hmm.
endorsing this sort of like
Mm-hmm.
fake sense of luxury, and people will
Mm-hmm.
find it, and they will have it like for 2 months, and they will feel cool, and that thing they were like throwing out, oh, it's sustainable, recycle, uh, uh, economy, and circular economy, circular economy,
More buzzwords.
those kind of greenwashing. uh, it really, at the end,
Yeah.
it goes back to what purpose you were serving. uh, then
Yeah.
as I think I said it before, if you have a great product and you hire us for marketing, we'll let people know how great your product is as soon as possible. But if you have a like nonsense product, people will know even faster like your product is shit.
Yeah.
That's the job of marketing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I Yeah, exactly. I think that that goes back to knowing your product, right? And knowing your customer, basically, right? I mean, what is your product for? I mean, you have to be honest about it. Who is it for? And they were very honest about it, I guess, because they told you that they're targeting influencers. But that is the problems in how you conceptualize your buyer persona. Is that the only people you're targeting? And then I don't know, I wonder if they actually talk to influencers to see if they were queuing up to sign up to the service, even, before it's even launched. I mean, is there significant demand?
Yeah.
I mean, influencers is not a very big group, I would think, especially influencers who would want to be
Yeah.
seen in those kind. I mean, there are many different types of influencers, right? I mean, but wow, that's really a very specific solution to a problem. And like you said, you are trying to sort of I think the idea of stretching it to renewable
Circular.
and
Yeah.
sustainable and circular economy is, yeah, it's nice on the brochure, but that's not really what you're trying to do, isn't it? You're trying to create you're trying to make something scarce, and that's why it's the $11,000 for the handbag, right? Something scarce into a more democratized sort of piece of democratized sort of product, isn't it? And
Decentralize the
that is what you're
luxury
trying to go
goods.
for. But that, yeah, yeah, right. I mean, that more people can access it, but that really
Exactly.
undercuts
Exactly.
the idea of the luxury thing in the first place. The point is, people shouldn't be able to access it, but you want to try and like beat the system, sort of thing. So it would have been very interesting to see if they had actually done market research on this and actually figured out there is a
they have
substantial
this
amount
all
of people who are interested in
PDF
this.
ready.
So
Who are the personas who are they are targeting? But at the end of the day, like if you're a founder,
cool.
it's easy
Yeah.
to come up with a,
Yeah.
a nonsense business idea. Then come up with a solid one. I'm telling you,
Absolutely, and I think that the caveat here would be, I think that sometimes you need to come up with 10 lousy ideas to come up with one
Exactly.
good one. So you should come up with lousy ideas as a practice. But this is when the feedback and the honesty thing comes in, when you realize, oh, it was a lousy idea, and understand why. Why didn't it work? And then learn from that. And I think sometimes failure is not so seen as a positive, right? That, oh, you had 10 startups and they all failed. I mean, it's a learning process, I think, and I think somebody used this
Yeah.
term the other day. I saw it, like forever student. I think as a startup founder, like you said, to overcome this problem of knowledge, you have to be a forever student. You have to constantly keep learning, and you have to trust that there are people out there who know more than you and who could actually enrich what you're trying to do, instead of trying to defend and protect it and saying that all of you are wrong, I am right, and then after that you close down in a year. Incorporate this into
Yes.
knowledge of the world. You're not expected to know everything, but you should be humble enough to know that
Exactly.
I don't know
and,
these
and
things,
for
and
that,
I need somebody
you need
else
us
with a smarter
to tell
idea.
you the bitter truth. Get
That's
to a marketer in your earlier stage. You don't need to get content from us. You don't need to
Yes.
just hold on my camera. So you don't need to get content from us. You don't need to get like all sorts of marketing strategy. Just come to us and ask us if it's a good idea and how to market this, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If it's a great one for the people.
Yes.
Because we know how to get out there, and and we'll help you out. And on that
Absolutely.
note, tune in for the next one.
Exactly.
And hit the like and subscribe to our channels. We have on Spotify, on YouTube, and of course on LinkedIn. It will help us. It actually motivates us to bring in new useful content, which is beneficial to startup, to businessman, to any sort of marketers. So on that note, take care and see you on the next one.